So this is a first cut brisket. It's in the bag. When we went to the store, to the grocery store, this is what we saw, and I saw this, and this is beautiful. There's hardly any fat on there, and when I open it up, I'm gonna make sure that there's not too much fat on there. As I might have said, or if I didn't say, this is a very popular piece of meat for the Jewish holidays and all the way to Christmas, Hanukkah, but it's also sold, like I said, on St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is a big mover, and it even has, as this says, it's a flat. I call it a center cut because that's what it used to be called. Now they're calling it a flat. Okay, so it's a flat. There is no cap on here, because usually what there is there's another piece of meat that comes on to about here. It's thicker here and goes over. So that has what they call the second cut. Now that's what I always grew up with, it called the second cut. Some people like that second cut left on this flat part of the brisket, okay? And some people don't. When you cut that off, you take that off of this and lean it out the best you can, I'll tell you what, it makes terrific hamburger. But you can't see it, so there's nothing much I can do about it right now. Okay, but let me, first of all, I got my gloves on. I got my cutting glove. I got everything I need over here. Okay, this I opened. It's not in any, I'm not going to get hurt by it. Cutting good. Okay, so here we go. There's a little bit of fat there. Now I'm taking it. Oh, look at that. Now I only trimmed a little bit of it off. Even if I left a little. Look at how much it is. Nothing just about. Okay. So I tend to think that a little bit of fat on there is good. It'll be good for the cooking of it, and that's what it is. So here we go. This might be a third of a pound, maybe, if it's stacked. That's all it is. Okay. So the brisket is right in this area over here. It's covered by 5 bones. Okay, from the rib and the plate. It's covered by 5 bones. Now there's another part of it, of this here, that comes out, and it is a tender piece of brisket. And you know what? As many times as I've asked people, did they want this part of the brisket, where it comes, they would say no. They would tell me no, and that was the softest part of the brisket, because they're used to getting over this way, not over this way. Okay, that's what most people like to get for their first cut brisket. Reason being, it's thicker. Even though this end of it is tenderer, they prefer this part because that traditionally, it's a tradition. It slices better, but this part here is tender. So I used to cut it up either for cubes for myself or some good ground beef. Mix it in with that fat cap. Terrific. Now I don't know how many people you're going to feed, but when it comes to a brisket and you cook it, they shrink. And they shrink a lot. If you have a good family with good eaters, people with good eaters, you have to figure a 1/2 to 3/4 of a pound. If you're going to have any other meat or fish, anything in that line, You could figure a half, but you're not going to get away with anything left over. That's my suggestion. Where is my assistant today? Where is my assistant? She's the most famous cook there is. Here she is. Here she is. This is my assistant and my 42-year companion, which I wish I had a bottle of champagne to say that, but anyhow, that's what I would do with this, and I cooked a pretty good many of them. Cover it with aluminum foil, put some water down there for the beginning, and after about 2 hours, then you can put your vegetables in or whatever. 3 hours, check it to see what you like. Is it cooked enough for you? Does it break apart? Can you slice it down or whatever? When you slice it down, if you notice the grain is going this way, then you want to cut it this way. Okay? Always cut it across the grain. You'll never go wrong.
Okay, I did wash off the meat, which I do with all pieces of meat except hamburger. Chicken, veal, lamb, beef. And then I dried it off with some paper towels. And now I'm going to season it. We have a little Penzi seasoned salt here. And I'm going to put some salt on there. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the Penzi black pepper. Okay, so that's that. Now I have in here the Lipton soup mix, dry. You don't put any water in it. You just keep it dry. I'm going to put some Coke. And before Coke Zero, I used to just use the Diet Coke. You don't have to use Diet Coke. You can use just the regular Coke. And then I put in some barbecue sauce. You can use this. You can use Heinz barbecue sauce. You can use any barbecue sauce you want. This one is hickory brown sugar. And since this is a 40 ounce, and we only want about 16 ounces, I'm going to measure that off and put the 16 ounces in here. And brisket, as you know, needs to really cook. So what I'm going to do here, I'll mix this up. And it's liquidy. And we're going to put some aluminum paper in this. You can use a Farberware, a nice big 9x13. That's what I usually use, but since we have this here, I'll just use this. Put it in here.
Perfectly, right? Huh?
Yeah. And then we're going to cover this with your sauce here. Okay, we have that all in here.
Folks, you'd be surprised when you're cooking this how much of that is left after a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's like half of it is gone.
Okay, we'll fold this all up so that it is all in there.
Now what does that do?
Well, while it's roasting, it's steaming and tenderizing.
Okay, there you go.
For these kinds of economical cuts, you need to really cook it. I would say a brisket needs a good 45 to 50 minutes per pound. So we're talking here about, was this 4 pounds?
Yes, ma'am.
4 times 45 or 50 would be about 200 minutes. That would be 3 hours and 20 minutes. So 3 hours and a half. And I usually take the aluminum foil after I would take it off in about an hour and a half. and then poke it with the fork a little bit, see how tender it is. And if it's not as tender as you want, then I would put the aluminum foil back on. If not, I would leave it off so that it gets a little crispy, because I know someone in our family likes it crispy on the top. So that's it. Just put it in your oven at 325 for 45 minutes a pound. If you have a 5-pound, then naturally it would have to be in there a little bit longer. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.